to welcome Francesco Bruni, our special guest for today. Francesco Bruni is one of Italy's most acclaimed screenwriters and the recipient of some of the country's most important film awards. His screenwriting career started in 1991 with the film Condominio. In 1994, La Bella Vita marked the beginning of a long collaboration with award-winning director Paolo Virzi. In 2011, Bruni made his directorial debut with the film Easy, which garnered him the David Di Donatello Award for Best New Director, as well as the Silver Ribbon in Nastro d'Argento in the same category. In 2017, his third feature film, Tutto quello che vuoi, which we also screened at the Italian Film Festival of Minneapolis, St. Paul, won the Silver Ribbon for Best Screenplay and screened indeed at our festival. Francesco Bruni also teaches screenwriting at the Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia alla Scuola Nazionale di Cinema di Roma. So Francesco Bruni, and welcome, benvenuto to this discussion. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to Tommaso Cammarano, our artistic director, to lead this discussion.
Good afternoon, everybody. And ciao, Francesco. Francesco, how are you? You're coming in from Rome. Can we? I don't see you anymore. Francesco? Can you hear me? Sorry, guys, I am having, okay. Hello, okay, I see Francesco. Ciao, Francesco, ti salutavo. How are you? We can't hear you. Right? Do you agree that we can't hear me?
Yeah, no, we can hear.
Yes, we can hear you. Ciao.
Okay, this is wonderful.
This is wonderful. We're live. It took a little bit of technical difficulties, but
yes.
Sorry if I interrupt. Just one more technical detail. Please, everyone, use the speaker view if you'd like to see, Tommaso and Francesco on the big screen. It's in the upper right corner of your screen, the speaker view. Thank you.
Okay.
Francesco, okay, let's start over. Okay, technical things have passed. Everything is working. And Francesco, welcome live on Zoom to the Italian Film Festival of Minneapolis, St. Paul 2021. We are so happy and so honored that you're here with us today. Thank you.
I'm honored more than you. When she said that I taught cinema at the Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia, I must say that Tommaso was one of my pupils.
Yes, I was not gonna say it, but since you mentioned it, yes, then I would say that today is particularly emotional and touching for me because I know this gentleman quite well. I know him from classes. He's the first person that ever told me what a screenplay is and how a screenplay should be written and what makes a great screenplay. And I also want to add that we did say in the bio that, Francesco is one of really the most renowned and prolific screenwriters in Italy. But I would say that with his last work, he's to be seen as one of the most important directors in Italy at this point. So you have been turned into that, Francesco, and I'm so happy that you get to share that with us. And so I just want to say, since Francesco mentioned that I was a student, this could be a little more emotional for me than usual. So it's a little, I just want to, before any further, I want to thank all of you for being with us this afternoon. We are truly grateful that you're here, that you're joining us. We thank you for your support of the festival, whether you've known the festival and have been participating for the last 12 years, or if you found the festival for the first time this year. We are so grateful and so happy that you've joined us today. I think I would just go into the questions. I would like to make this pretty casual and informal. I think for Francesco, it's a great opportunity to hear what we in Minnesota, so far away from Rome, think of his film, have felt about it, what questions we have. So I'll open it up probably with a few questions, and then I'll just see who has questions. If there aren't too many questions, I'll ask some more, and we'll go little bit like that. Is that okay with you, Francesco?
Wonderful.
You know,
I'm ready.
It's Zoom. We all have to get used to new ways of doing things, and we're used by now because we've done Zoom for a year. And one thing I want to say is the first time I heard that Francesco, you know, even if I was a student, we don't see each other that often anymore. I've been living in the States for so many years, and I didn't know that he had a new film out. And the first person that told me about his film was the artistic director of the Giornate degli Autori of the Venice Film Festival, Gaia Furrer. And I'm saying this story because she called me and said, you know what, Tommaso, Francesco Bruni film came out, and it came out just the day before they're shutting the theaters down for COVID. So she and a lot of other people that were interested in the film rushed to see it that only day, because then unfortunately this beautiful movie was immediately taken away from theaters the day, right, Francesco? It came out the last day before they shut the theaters for many months, right?
It is. I tried to make a long story short. It was supposed to come out in 19th of March 2020, but it met the first wave of the pandemic, and so we decided to postpone the how do you call it, the exit, of the film,
the release,
and it had a different title. Then it was called Andrà tutto bene, which is translated by everything's going to be all right. But during the following months, we realized that sentence in Italy has become a log line of the resistance against COVID. And so as the weeks went by, I realized that I had to change this title because I didn't want the audience to believe it was a film about COVID, and then nothing was going all right in these months. So we changed the title into Cosa Sarà, what will be, and we had an invitation from the Festa del Cinema di Roma by Antonio Monda as a closure film, and that led us to go out in theaters on the 24th of October of 2020, and it was a Saturday, and the following Monday, cinemas closed again. So it was not a lucky experience.
And I think that Monday, Gaia Furrer from the Giornata degli Autori is the day when she called me and said, oh my God, if you can get it for the festival, please do. I remember her telling me, I laughed, I cried, it's so beautiful. You must do everything you can to get it. So then I said, okay, I've got to write to Francesco immediately. And here we are.
I'm glad you did.
I am glad too. And I would agree that the beauty of your film, it's a film about something so personal and so difficult to go through, that at the same time, with what I know to be your usual sophistication of writing and capacity of getting so much in a script, you've been able to make a story that it makes you cry, it makes you laugh. It says a lot about life, about family, about a man changing himself or how he sees things due to extreme circumstances that he has to he has to go through. My first question
Yes.
would be how much of the film is you and how much is fiction?
Well, I went through that experience from March 2017 to February 2018 when I got staminal cell transplant. And but of course, my medical experience was not so complicated. Wouldn't have deserved a film. I started to think about making a film about that when I realized that I had to, come si dice, allontanarmi, get away from myself in a way, having a main character that was not me, with a family which is not mine, and especially giving him more troubles than I had. Because as you might have seen, Bruno Salvati doesn't find a donor so easily, and this leads him to a trip and to a discovery about his family, which is not what happened to me. Then I also started to think about those inserts of hallucinations or dreams, or even ghosts visiting the character in the isolation room. And so I started to feel that I had material to make an interesting and surprising film. And then I started writing.
How long did it take you to write the script?
It took me, I was quite fast this time. I wrote it, I think, in a couple of months. I went through a treatment, and then I wrote the screenplay. Then I rewrote the screenplay many times during the preparation of the film. Also because the main actor, Kim Rossi Stewart, after immediately accepting to do the film, which was very important for me to build up also the financial part of the film and the cast, he started to ask me questions about the screenplay, his character, but also other characters, which put in discussion a lot of what I had written. And so I rewrote many times until the last days before shooting, and so I felt that I had a debt towards him, and so he signs the screenplay, as you have seen in the end titles, collaboration. But I think he deserved even more.
I've seen an interview in which he says he shouldn't deserve anything. You know, he's very humble about it. He's very humble about it. Maybe that's what makes him great.
But he told me that this was the first time that a director and writer, in this case, an author, a filmmaker, gave him so much attention, listened so much to his advice. And so I was very pleased about this, because this also helped build a very strong relationship between me and him, which was very important for the film, because he committed himself totally to this film. He had his hair shaven and his eyebrows went away, and he got thin, and so he was totally participating emotionally in this story, because he is basically a very good friend of mine. So he felt he had to do this for me, and also because he loved the film, of course.
And so how much work did you do together, you and him? Rehearsal, like, was there, after the screenplay, was there a time in which you did improvisations on his character? Is that something that you do for your film?
No.
Or
no, I don't, because to me, my only strength as a director is the script. So once I have decided that is the script, we go exactly on the lines that we have written. So we read the script through with all the actors. Then, of course, on the set, every day we rehearsed every single scene, and there were some new contributions and inventions that came out each day, but they were not so important. I mean, basically, what you see is what I have written.
Yeah, and probably I would say this comes also from the depth and the detail in which you as a screenwriter go into as when you write. You know, I remember
Yes.
when we were in class that the big day was when Francesco would bring his new script to class, and we would read, and he would honor us with reading his script and learning from it, and we were just so happy. We were so happy because we could see how you write, how a dialogue can be refined and to the very, very last detail, and how in the descriptions that then everybody else in the film, the costume designer or the actors or the set designer need to do their job, everything is already there in your scripts, which you've just confirmed, which is so often that's not the case in cinema. So, I mean, maybe that's your background, as your years, you know, of being a screenwriter that makes all of that happen.
I've always theorized, as you know, that screenwriting can influence directing very much, because you can give the director images without him even realizing that they come from you, you know. But this is very difficult because the space in writing is a very limited space. Practically each page corresponds to 1 minute of film, so you can't go into descriptions too much. You have to choose the right words that take the image out of in uncertainty. You know, Joyce Carol Oates called it weak specification. I don't know. In Italy, it is a specificazione fiacca. It is when a writer doesn't use specific words to evoke images. So he says a tree instead of saying a pine tree, or instead of saying any other kind of tree. So I try to use specific words that take the image out of uncertainty and make it visible. But you have to spare them. You have to be very, very choosy.
Which you are. Luckily for everybody that works with you. So I have 2 more questions I'm thinking of before we have an hour for this, so there'll be plenty of time to get questions. I have 2 more questions. One, because we've been talking so much about screenplay, I'm actually, probably it's a personal curiosity. Did you always know that at some point, was it always in you that at some point you might want to direct, or is it something that you discovered further in life, or was it always there, or suddenly something switched that you thought, okay, this one is a story for me to direct? And how did that happen?
It was an opportunity, because I for once I wrote a screenplay all by myself, without any other screenwriter, and without the director, a chosen director that would direct it. And it was my first film, Scialla, easy. So I was totally free to write the story I wanted. And basically I wrote a story about what I knew very well. My son, school, growing up, the responsibility of being a father. And when I finished the screenplay, the producer said, "But why do we have to look for a director for this? Why don't you try? Nobody knows this better than you, so you have to explain everything to someone else." So I decided I could do it, because it was a very simple film, not expensive, and so I tried. And it was such a nice experience, and such a successful experience, that since then I decided to alternate writing and directing, but I only direct something when it comes from inside. So I don't think I would be a good director on someone else's story.
Thank you. The last question I have for now is, I mean, your work with your actors is impressive. I mean, everything that you managed to get out of them, and also your choice of actors, I find in this film and all of your films very interesting. You know, it could be the kind of choice for which the producer in the film tells you off, because it's like, wait a minute, you need to give me stars, and where are the stars? And, you know, you have one here, even it's Kim Rossi Stewart, but in general, in all of your films, you have discovered actors. You obviously approach an actor from your choice of actor from what you read, probably because you know your material so well that you're going to direct. With honesty, you really know, this is the person I want, and I'll fight for this person. And even if I have to fight with the producer for it, this is who we need to get. And I think that's what brings beauty to your films, that they seem so real and so universal, because the way you manage to do this. And there's a few actors here that, I mean, they're all impressive, but I'm thinking about the father, Umberto, Giuseppe Pambieri, the actor. How did you work, you know, how did you decide on him? Or the amazing daughter of Kim, or of yours, Fotini Peluso, who plays Anna in the film. I mean, I believe that this is is this her first movie? Or and Fotini, and also, you know, some actors you've worked with, Lorenza Indovina, and I also wonder, you know, I don't think people here know, but the doctor, Paola Bonetti, is your wife in real life. So that could be another question in itself, you know, how was it for her, you know, that experience to have gone through this experience with you, and then to have to play the doctor, whom, can I say, is incredible. I mean, the best doctor. I mean, the nuances, her voice fits perfectly that role. The work that you two have done together in making this doctor so caring, yet at the same time matter of fact, and knows when to shut off Bruno Salvati and tell him, okay, Salvati. She calls him by the last name. I mean, it's really pretty stunning. So
I have never started a project on a cast. I write the story, and then I choose the right actors for that. This is the first time that a very popular and money-making actor like Kim was right for the part. So I didn't have anything against it, of course. But in the previous movies, there were no possible parts for famous actors. So I decided to choose what was best for the film, and I even paid for this in a way, because not only production but distribution is very, come dice, penalizzante. Penalizing for such projects. So in this case, I was strong. I felt strong of having Kim there, and so I could choose all the other actors, even if they were not famous. Giuseppe Pambieri had disappeared from the screens for many years, and the casting of this film proposed him to me, and I met him, and we rehearsed, and he was perfect for the part. So I chose him. Fotini Peluso was already a shooting star in Italian, basically in Italian TV, because she had done a Romanzo Familiare, a TV fiction with Francesca Archibugi, but she had not done a cinema part so important, and it was the most difficult choice for me. I met and tried like 15 young actresses, all very good and even more famous than her. But then I decided that she was perfect, because she has the special blend of maturity, seriousness, but she's also funny. She can, you know, bring home some laughs. She's not only dramatic as an actress. You love her because you find her also funny. And then Raffaella Leboroni is my only exception, because my wife, she was in all my films, in very small parts, but very significant parts. And in this case, she had gone through my illness, and she knew everything about this, even more than I did, because I was not so lucido, come si dice,
yes,
present when I was ill. So she had followed all the story, and also she has always wanted to be a doctor. Her real talent is for curing people. She's an expert in medicine, so she was very believable in the part, and so everyone else, like Nicola Nocella, who plays the part of the nurse, or Tancredi Galli, who's the son, were chosen by Provini. How do you say Provini?
Oh my God!
Trials.
No,
trials.
Auditions.
And so here comes the cast. But what is really magical about what happens in my sets is that everybody tunes in perfectly. They understand exactly what I want from them. It comes from the script. It comes from speaking a lot with the actors. Like, for instance, of course I consider this a comedy, but when I say comedy, I don't like people making funny faces or exaggerating in their reactions. I want it to be sober. And so everybody understood that immediately, and so it was very easy when we were on the set.
Thank you. I think I'm going to read. We have some things in the chat. I'm going to start seeing.
Yes.
Okay, we have a comment from Luisa. Luisa, I cannot. D'Artiglia. Again. Okay, Luisa is telling you, Francesco, bravo on this work. It is monumental, and the bad luck releasing, it seems to make it only more so, only more relevant because of the way the bad luck came into the releasing. Please tell me how surviving cancer influence everything that make up. Please tell us, how will surviving cancer influence everything that may come next?
Oh, first of all, I will not say I survived cancer. Only 3 years have passed. You know that there can be, how do you say, ricadute, falls, falling back, even for after 5 years. Now everything is okay for me. My blood values are good, and I'm leading a normal life. But what I understood basically is that all the sense of frustration I had as a director, all the scontentezza, unhappiness, was based on silly things. So I started to realize what was important in my life, and not success, not money, not prizes, but I understood which were the persons that I wanted to be by me, and they were the persons that they were able to stand by me even in those months. And I don't think that everybody was capable of this. Many people fled, many people were afraid, and many people disappeared from my life. But many people came into my life, and so I realized that I had forgotten them unfairly, and so now I won't do that anymore.
That's beautiful. Thank you. We have from Anne Burns. Anne is saying, I love the humor you brought to the story. The sun fainting at the needle, for example. Where did you find that? did humor help you through your illness?
My illness was full of funny moments because I was totally lost. I was saying a silly thing. I thought I saw people that I hadn't seen, and but also around me, this air of humor never totally disappeared. So I wanted to represent maybe the fright, come si dice, la paura, the fear that my son had during my experience, even though he was ready to donate, and he was coming to the hospital, but I realized that he was about to faint at any moment because I was very thin. I had no more hair, so I saw in his eyes that he was scared to death. So I represented that in another character because my son is older than my daughter. The funny moments are like the screening of the film in the hospital cinema is something that when I was there in the hospital in Gemelli in Rome, I knew that there was a very beautiful cinema organized by Medicinema. And so I was dreaming, I was wondering that if I could go there and present my last film, Tutto quello che vuoi, but I never had the courage to ask the doctors because they would have probably sedated me, and so I wanted to represent that moment that I had dreamt of, and so that's how that funny, sad scene. Humor and sadness are always mingled in this film. Drama and funny moments. Like if you think how Bruno Salvati realized that he has a problem, he's watching a beautiful girl crossing the street. He slams the door of his car in his nose, and that's a funny moment. But 2-3 seconds after, you realize that he can't stop the blood coming from his nose. So as you see, they're always marching side by side, those two.
And I would say they're always marching side by side in your scripts and in your films as a director, always. I mean, I think they characterize your filmmaking in general, humor and drama. It's also the tradition of, Fulvio Scarpelli, who was your teacher, coming from that tradition of commedia all'italiana, where humor and drama are always, and social issues are always side by side. So I think
that is a very historical recipe in Italian cinema, but of course, in that case, it was applied to larger topics like social dilemmas, the war, the days after the economic boom, unemployment. I tend to use that same recipe, but on a private on a private side, if I can say.
And because you've talked so much about your family, personal curiosity, how does your family react to your films? I mean, are they worried? Are they concerned? Do they say, Dad, not this time? Or, okay, stop? Because, I mean, how does that go in the household?
They make a lot of fun of me, and when this is also very important for me. When I start to montarmi la testa, thinking
to allow my ego to go overboard.
Thinking I'm something important, they make fun of me, and they don't want to be represented in my films. My son was not very happy when I did Scialla, my first film, Easy, because it was based on him, on dialogues that I had with him. My wife is happy because she plays parts which are different from what she is, but basically they don't take me so seriously in this household.
Okay. So I think that then everything works out fine, that they don't take you seriously. I mean,
Yeah, when I screen my films on the television, and I always want them to be silent and listen to this, don't talk, don't speak, don't look at the phone. After 5 minutes, they say, hey, you have broken my balls. We say in Italy.
it's a very
Leave
Italian
us alone, give us a break.
I will read some of, Francesco, ti leggo, I will read some more of the beautiful comments that we're getting, okay? This
Yes.
one is from Christine. Christine says, my husband and I loved the movie. The actors were amazing and the story is so beautiful, the story is so beautiful, telling a very difficult story with such honesty, but also humor. So, which is what we've just been saying. So
Grazie, Justin.
E Christine, she tells you thank you too. Ti dice grazie anche lei. Then we have Laura J. Mauro, who is saying, as a cancer survivor, I have sometimes been fearful of watching such films that deal with this topic. Did the trauma, as well as the joys of that journey, cause reservations or motivations in telling the story? What of that was most important to portray in the film?
I wouldn't have never made a film that could leave people in despair. So I decided to tell the story also because it is a happy ending story, and I think it is also encourage people to survive through difficult times. So I can't play drama all the way. It is against my, I don't know, against my nature. So, but what she said is very interesting, because lots of people refused in the start. They refused to see this film because they were scared that it could anguish them. So I had, even friends. So I had to tell them, please give it a try. So you won't come out sad or depressed. And so after I insisted, they saw the film and they called me and they said, "Well, thank you. You know, this was very healing, also in a way, in these terrible times we're going through." But of course, the pandemic was not exactly what I needed. Commercially speaking, because there are also a lot of masks, you know, there is somebody ill, so I don't think people desire to see this immediately in the first place.
Thank you. And I'm just curious, is it out again in theaters now? Is it going to be out
No,
again?
because theaters are still closed now. They're speaking
But
about
they're about to open, right?
But I don't think they will. They are saying 27th of March, but here the third wave is surging slowly, but it is surging. And I think that even if they open cinemas, nobody will go. So I don't want my film to go through a third experience like that. So I prefer to wait for the summer, the arenas, the open air cinemas, and where people will go più tranquillamente. And so, no, I don't think it will come out in the spring.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe I've been reading the questions, but I'm going to change it. Rachel, you would be the next question I ask. If you want to ask it yourself, Rachel McGarry, and come on video, or I can ask it, but maybe you're happy to ask it yourself.
Tommaso, I think Rachel says, please read my question.
Okay,
so
then I will read it. Some people say, please read, but then so I'm happy to read it, Rachel. Rachel says, the film is beautiful and will stay with me. This may be an impolite question, but I wondered how film trailers get made and how much influence the director, writer has in their final form. They don't always seem consistent with the film.
I had to fight a lot for this trailer because basically what they wanted to do was hide completely the dramatic part of the film, especially the hospital scenes. There are no hospital images, maybe just one. But also in the first draft of the trailer, they had put silly music all the way, and I said, no, please, no, don't do that, because we are cheating. This is cheating on audiences, you know. So I had I convinced them to put some dramatic parts. I don't know which trailer you saw, but in the Italian trailer, in the second part of the trailer, there's this beautiful song, I Will Survive, remade by The Cake, and which gives a very strong emotional side to it. But of course, the trailer doesn't represent the film. It doesn't.
Rachel, are you here? Yes.
I am here. Sorry, I couldn't get my video off before, but it was such a beautiful film. But it's very interesting to hear about how things get marketed. And I guess the trailer I saw didn't have that other part. So it came off as a kind of a comedy. And so I was so surprised and delighted by the poignancy of the film. And I figured that process can be tricky for a filmmaker to get the right messaging out and for the marketing of the film.
I was able to change something about that, but of course you can't go against distributors, right? Because it is not a healthy, sane way of behaving, because they will destroy your film if they want to. Luckily, I was able to make them accept the poster, which is my idea, and I love it because it is very beautiful, light. Even if it was treated differently, colored and differently from the film, but I like that image because it gives the idea of balancing between life and death, you know, which is but the trailer was a half lost battle.
Thank you, Rachel. We have another question, and maybe Eric would like to ask it yourself. Eric, I'm sure you will. There you go.
Sure. Hi. I thought the film was beautiful. It was wonderful. I really loved every aspect of this film, the story, the acting, the directing, but I also really loved the writing. And I'm somebody who likes to write plays and screenplays for fun in my own time.
Oh.
So I really appreciated the dialogue, the characters. You were talking about that balance between the comedy and the tragedy. It was just very well constructed, and how things kind of came back around in the end, little kind of images that you dropped in. So as someone who likes to write, I was hoping you could share some of your thoughts on what you think makes a good screenplay, and what your advice might be for somebody like myself who wants to develop ideas into screenplays.
Oh, this is a very tough question. Basically, writing about things you know, about characters you know or you have met, and being honest, being sincere, not trying to spectacularize things, and not trying to get easy laughs or easy tears. So that's a good screenplay for me. But basically what I teach and I taught to Tommaso too is considering screenwriting like writing, like novel writing. So being, as I said before, being very careful about the single words you use, and of course read a lot novels, and go to see films, go to theater a lot, and so that's and listen to good music. But that's really a compendium. It would need 1.5 hours by itself.
I'm sure. I know it's a big topic, but grazie. I appreciate it.
Prego.
And since we touched on the screenwriting, I wanted to ask you this question before, and then it slipped my mind, and now it just came back. I wanted to ask you about the screenplay again. I mean, what was interesting to me, and I'm not sure you've done it in your previous films, you have quite a few narrative lines. You have 3. Basically, there is some sort of a dream flashback world that maybe it's induced by the camera, but we're not sure.
Yes.
Then you have him, the hair, him before he cuts the hair, and him
Yes.
with the hair. So 3 different levels that keep intertwining. Was that something that was in the script from the beginning, or that's something that arrived later when you were reworking? When did it all come to happen?
No, it was in the script from the beginning, because I was pretty sure that starting the second scene where the character is shaved could set a divide, a precise divide from between what comes before and what comes after. So the audience is oriented, never loses orientation in the story, because when he has hair, it is of course before, and so everything was written like this. The only scene I repositioned in the ending is the appearance of the ghost of the mother by his bedside when he turns into a baby, an infant, which was part of the visions that he had at the beginning of the film, when he meets his daughter, then comes his wife, then he sees this mysterious character who says "Ciao Bruno," and we don't know who she is, and then he sees a woman cuddling a baby by the window, and then he sees the doctors discussing about him, but he can hear what they're saying. And there was also this appearance of the mother by his side. Then I realized that it was too much, and so I moved it to after the staminal cell transplant, which is also right, because staminal cell transplant is called in jargon rebirth. So that scene is particularly adapted to that situation. But if you look carefully, Kim Rossi Stewart has a short beard in that scene, which doesn't correspond to his being totally, how do you say, bald before and after. But nobody noticed it, so it's okay.
Yes.
Then I also removed the scene when they are in Livorno, after that dramatic scene by the sea, when that showdown between him and his sister. Before going to the station, they passed by the house where he had been as a kid. The house we see in the first scene when the other kid steals the cars from him, and Kim recognized him, so he had to stop the taxi to go there and ask his father. So, but it's just, have we lived in this house? And his father said yes. But I realized that it was not necessary, because the movement of the Livorno movement of the script could end up very well with that dolly going up and the sea, the rough sea, and the clouds, and so.
And we love it here in Minnesota because we get to see Livorno in February. So we love that you did that. So we get to see this beautiful city that some of us don't know that well. It's very cold here now, Francesco. So to see anything Mediterranean and sea and Livorno, it's one of the joys of having the festival in February, is because we can see Italy and the sea, and so it's even more touching.
And luckily, we shot in November 2019, and it was raining all the time, except for that scene.
But November 2019 in Livorno is nothing like February here, so it still looks like summer. And there's another beautiful comment that I'd like to read from Julie Chi. Thank you, Julie. Julie says, my mother-in-law had this type of cancer. Because she was in Korea, we were not able to understand what she went through because she unfortunately did not survive the blood transfusion. This film helped me connect with her experience. Grazie, Direttore Bruni.
Grazie. I'm very sad about this. You know, it happened to some people I know, even a young girl, the daughter of a friend. She didn't survive the transplant, but even some people who were in the hospital at my same time. So that 15% is unluckily true. But it was very nice to meet all the other transplant survivors in the trip by the sea, which
so you went on the boat,
which really took place, yes, and it was one of the most moving experiences I had in my whole life. You know, presenting yourself as 2018 transplant. I was 2006, so. And seeing people who have survived so long, even 1994, 1986, it was very, very encouraging.
And also, it must have been, because from the film, we also feel that is the one experience you did not want to live if, you know, you did not want to be a part of. You know, it took a whole journey to be able to.
No, that's the character. I've always desired that.
You've always okay.
Profoundly, but Bruno Salvati doesn't.
Okay, so there's a difference there. Okay, see?
Yes.
I see Julie opened her video, so if you want to say something or.
Oh, just thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Grazie, Julie.
I'm just being introduced to Italian films through this opportunity because of the unfortunate, pandemic. But previously, I wouldn't have been able to go because, just children and busy life and so on. I wouldn't have been able to go in person probably as easily. So I really appreciate that this is all available. And, you're being able to see your movie was just a blessing to me. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
But
you don't know how much I miss the audience, because this is a film that calls for physical presence. Because if you laugh and cry together with other people, this is gives a boost to emotion. This is not a cold film. It asks for involvement, yes, and presence.
We have a beautiful question. I love the character from Nancy. Nancy, do you want to ask it yourself or shall I? Okay, I think I'm going to ask it. Nancy says, I love the character of Fiorella and how she truly did blossom. Could you say something about developing the relationship between her and Bruno?
I immediately thought that it could be a misunderstanding, a very strong and even funny, but also sad, as here we are again, misunderstanding, because she sees this prince coming into her life like somebody fallen from the sky in her sad life, and so she immediately falls in love with him, but she doesn't know that she's falling in love with her brother, and he's paralyzed because he doesn't know how to manage this situation. So the more it goes on, the worse it gets for him to tell her the truth, because he realized that she's falling in love with him. So he has to decide. So what really moves him and finally makes him decide is that confrontation he has with his daughter in the hotel, who says to him, "Come on, move, do something. You're a loser. I don't want you to lose this way." But what is really interesting in the dynamic is that he tells the truth to her in the worst possible moment when she's speaking about how akin she feels to him, how she loves his movies, and so he bursts out, "We're brother and sister," like that. And that was a suggestion from Kim Rossi Stewart, because the scene was in the screenplay. The scene was developing a little differently. They were sitting on a bench, and they were speaking very closely. And at a point, she tried to kiss him, and he backed away, and he said, "We can't. We're brother and sister." But I think it's better this way.
Thank you. And we have time. Maybe I'll turn it around. I will ask Francesco. We have a few more minutes, Francesco. If
Yes.
you have them, do you have them? Do you have a few more minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. So I would ask you, is there anything haven't done this before, but do you have a question for our audience? Is there something that you would like to know? Is there something that could, more than what's been said, something that you can think of the second that maybe?
No, because they already said so many things that made me realize that this film communicates very easily, even over there. So I was curious to understand if some behavior of the characters, or if some relationship between them could be less understandable. But I don't think it is so. What I want to tell you is that the whole medical experience in the public hospital costed me €0, and and I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of our national health system, and I hope that the new president will do something for the people who can't afford medical care at a good level, because I saw that this impressed very much American audiences in other chats I had. And so public schools and public health are our pride.
Thank you for that reminder, because I know it's great to hear. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I guess at this point, we can thank Francesco. I mean, there could be so many other questions, but we're running out of time. Francesco was graceful enough to be with us for an hour, so we thank you for that. I just want to say that in these strange times, to be able to be together with Francesco in Rome and with all of you, and even for our festival, this is the only moment in which we get to interact with one another. This is why we fought for this to be live, and because it's the time in which we can hear from each other, feel togetherness, welcome Francesco, and also understand that even in this strange formula this year for a festival, what Julie just said, it reminds us that there's benefits to being on Zoom, and for us to have decided to still do the festival online, because not only we can reach people that otherwise their lives wouldn't be able to allow them to get to the movies, but also with a beautiful movie like Francesco's, not only we can reach people, but we can help healing. And so Francesco, thank you with your film to be helping healing to so many of the audiences that are seeing your film throughout the world.
Grazie, Tommaso. The only thing that makes me sad is that I can't come to Minneapolis this time. But one thing that my illness taught me is that I have to make films more frequently, because up to now I was making one film every 4 years, and so I decided to make another one. This year, and so maybe I will be able to come there in 2022.
We already have an invitation for you, so just let us know when it's done. And truly, it's a personal joy for me, and I know for everybody else just as much of a great joy having you with us today. And thank you. We wait to see you in Minneapolis. It's a beautiful city. We would show you around so much. And so
Grazie.
We can't wait to have you here. The best to your family, to your wife, to your kids, to your friends in Rome,
Grazie.
our friends in Rome. And grazie mille, Francesco. davvero.
Grazie
I
Tommaso.
think we
Grazie
can
a
all
tutti.
unmute and
Complimenti.
compliment.
Bravo. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Grazie.
And I just want to say the movie's going, maybe it might have not got out in the theaters for too long, but it's going to so many festivals. So
Yes.
many festivals.
Yes, yes,
Constantly.
it has given me a lot of satisfactions all over the world, and even prizes from incredible places. So I'm very glad about this. Ci vediamo a Roma, Tommaso.
Sì, sì, spero quest'estate. Thank you, Francesco.
Ciao.
Bacio. Ciao. Goodbye,
Ciao,
everybody.
ciao.
Ciao. And
Ciao.
Grazie.
ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Grazie. I just want to remind everybody that we have 2 more talks today. One is at 3 p.m., correct, Tiziana? Yeah, and it's with the 2 directors of photography of Dal Profondo and Faith. And then we have one at 4 p.m. with the 2 brother directors of Spacca Pietre, Una Promessa. I already see some thumbs up from Christine. Great, so we hopefully see you there. And please join us if you haven't seen the movies we've been talking about today. Hopefully you'll see them. If you've seen them, you can have another 48 hours for seeing them again. If you want to tell your friends about them, we're happy about that too. We really are truly grateful that you are with us at the festival today and throughout the duration of the festival. And so we'll see you in an hour, some of you.
Grazie a
meeting
tutti, ci vediamo
everybody.
dopo.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.